If you watch this show a lot, or even if you see my clips on social media, you have probably heard the story about Michael Edwards. Michael was arrested in 1993 for selling a spoonful of cocaine, less than an ounce. He sold it to an ex-girlfriend, and she turned out to be a police informant. She later signed an affidavit that she had lied to the police. And that gave Michael Edwards some confidence to turn down a plea offer of 9 years in prison. Then the prosecutors offered him another plea of 15 years in prison, and he turned that one down too because it was a spoonful of cocaine, right? He was no major dealer, so he took his chances at trial. And Michael lost. Michael was found guilty of selling that spoonful of cocaine. And then came something that no one expected. The judge threw the book at Michael. 60 years in a Florida prison with no chance for parole. You heard right, 60. No parole. Spoonful of cocaine. Here's why. Even though Michael was an addict, it was his third nonviolent drug offense, his third strike, which if you're from the 90s, you know it meant a lengthy term in prison. Last week, I spoke with the former state attorney whose office put Michael away. And even he, Joe D'Alessandro, says that enough is enough, that it is time to let Michael out.
In my whole entire career, I have never tried to get somebody's sentence vacated or commuted or anything, except Mr. Edwards. I don't belong. He served his time. Justice has been done in this case. As far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't be in prison.
Speaking of prison, Michael's been a model prisoner there for 31 years, and he has shaved time off of his original sentence. But even then, he's not due for release until 2037, another 12 years from now, at which point he will be 74. So that would mean a grand total of 43 years behind bars for a spoonful of cocaine. FYI, it means that Florida taxpayers have been on the hook. They're footing the bill to keep this guy locked up, even though he's proven he's nonviolent and that he is compliant. His family has been petitioning for clemency for years now, and even the Florida Clemency Board took the case to Governor Ron DeSantis. But Governor Ron DeSantis just turned him down flat, simply saying, I am not inclined at this time to grant clemency next. We've reached out to Governor DeSantis for a statement. We've done that every day for more than a week now, but we have not heard back from his office or from the governor. Tonight, however, I am joined by someone who knows a lot about Michael's case for clemency. Nikki Fried was the elected Florida Commissioner of Agriculture from 2019 to 2023, and that position put Ms. Fried in the governor's cabinet, and it made her a member of Florida's 4-person Board of Executive Clemency. She recommended Michael Edwards be freed, and she is here with me live now. Ms. Fried, thank you so much for being on with me. This case makes me sad and frustrated and angry all at the same time. It is a layup. I can't imagine how many viewers right now feel the same way that I do, but I suspect a majority. Why didn't it happen?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for covering this and to such emotion and coverage, because it is a travesty of justice. You know, as not only a member of that clemency board, but also a past public defender, I had numerous cases every single day that offers were being made, whether it's drugs. Even look at the case that you were just talking about. That woman got 15 years for her assault and rape against Elizabeth Smart. And yet, here is this man who was nonviolent to begin with, who was sold to his ex-girlfriend because he too had a drug problem. This is not a violent person. So in fact, when the issue was brought to me by his family and another Republican elected down in Fort Myers, which is where this case first happened in Lee County, I automatically felt that this was something that deserved the attention of the clemency board. Justice has been served, way past served. And so we brought the case to the clemency hearing and had individuals coming and testify about what was happening in prison, heard the story from his state attorney at the time that said that they wanted to release him. We had the hearing, and unfortunately, Governor DeSantis took it under advisement and then later issued that statement that he was unwilling to grant him commutation and release him from prison with no explanation whatsoever. This is one of those cases that the public should want this man released.
Well, does it make a difference when, the state attorney just said on my show last week, never in my entire career have I looked to reverse anything that I have done except for Michael Edwards' case. And he's pleading. The state attorney whose office put Michael Edwards away is pleading with the governor to let this man out. What can be done at this point? Like, what's the functionality? I had 3 million people on my social media commenting on this case, and the majority of them angry as hell. I couldn't find one comment. I didn't go through all 3 million, but I couldn't find one comment where people thought, keep him locked up. He deserves to be there.
Yeah, of course. The recommendation from the state attorney should bear a lot of influence on the clemency board. And so at this point, what it's going to take is to have another petition filed on behalf of Michael, whether it's his attorney or family members, and then a member of the clemency board. Again, the clemency board consists of the Florida cabinet, which is the governor, the chief financial officer, the attorney general, and the commissioner of agriculture. And to pull what's called a Rule 17, which expedites these cases, because unfortunately here in the state of Florida, we are behind by years and years and years and years to get somebody brought up in front of the clemency board. So you pull what's called a Rule 17, in which you bring the case, you expedite that case in front of the clemency board, and then you have a hearing, an allotment of time that the governor has discretion on about how much time gets allotted, and then a decision gets made. So at any point, this could happen. But unfortunately, it doesn't sound even from your opening that the governor is even willing to have this conversation of this carriage of justice of what's happening. And to your point, the taxpayers are on the line for this. And as we know, as individuals get older and older, that they need more medical attention inside of our prison systems, which will be, again, something that the taxpayers will have to pay for. And this man's life is already... He's been sitting behind bars for 31 years. He's not violent. He served his time way past that, and it's time to release him.
I mean, it ain't the 90s anymore, right? Nikki Fried, thanks for being here. I hope we can talk again.
So thanks for having me.
All right, friends, there are hundreds of thousands of people, many in Florida, who think it is appalling that Michael Edwards was locked up for 60 years for a spoonful of cocaine. Taxpayers, as we mentioned, they're paying for that. Last week, I spoke with his mother and his sister, who are desperate for their nightmare to end. You should know this as well. The girlfriend who turned informant, she threw herself off a bridge the day of his sentencing. Even the prosecutor, like we said, the one that his office put him away, says justice is done, and that his entire career he's never reversed himself except for this case. Governor DeSantis, as a person who covers crime every single day for decades, I encourage you to give this case another look and consider what kind of justice you are trying to accomplish here in Florida. Or at the very least, please explain why you think Michael Edwards should stay locked up for another decade plus. I mentioned this before, the governor has an open invitation to appear on this show or even just send me a statement about this case, but let's not turn our backs. Not anymore.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.